Every year, homeowners spend money on sprays, traps, powders, foggers, and garden chemicals, all trying to solve the same basic problem. Pests found a way in. They found the pantry. They found the seedlings. They found the basement corner, the compost bin, the fruit bowl, the cabbage leaves, or the tiny gap beside the back door. And the modern answer is usually simple. Buy another product. But older rural households, including many Amish communities, often approached pests differently. They did not always begin with poison. They began with conditions. What is attracting the pest? Where is it entering? What path is it using? And how do you make that path harder, drier, cleaner, sharper, or less inviting without turning the whole home and garden into a chemical battlefield? These 5 forgotten pest tricks are not magic. They will not solve every infestation, and serious problems like termites, bedbugs, or dangerous nests need professional help. But for ordinary garden and household pests, they show a different way of thinking. Not more chemicals, more common sense. Number 1. Wood ash barriers. Before every home had a garden aisle full of pellets and sprays, old farm families often had one thing in steady supply: wood ash. If a home was heated by a stove, ash was already there. And in the garden, dry ash was sometimes used as a simple barrier around plants that were being attacked by soft-bodied crawling pests. The idea was straightforward. Slugs, snails, and many crawling insects prefer damp, easy surfaces. Dry ash creates a dusty, alkaline, unpleasant strip that many of them do not like crossing, especially when it is fresh and dry. That is why old gardeners would sometimes place a thin ring of cooled wood ash around vulnerable plants, especially young seedlings with soft leaves. But the important word is thin. Too much ash can change soil conditions because it can raise alkalinity. You would not pile it around every plant, and you would not use it endlessly in the same patch of soil. That is the old wisdom modern people often miss. The trick was not to dump ash everywhere. It was to use a waste material carefully, exactly where the problem appeared. Number 2. Diatomaceous earth dust lines. This one looks almost too simple to matter. A pale powder, sprinkled lightly along dry cracks, shed corners, basement edges, or garden trouble spots. But diatomaceous earth works because it is not a chemical poison in the usual sense. It is made from the fossilized remains of tiny aquatic organisms, and under a microscope, the particles are abrasive. For crawling insects, that dry dust can damage the protective outer layer of their bodies, causing them to dry out. That is why homesteaders and rural households have used it against ants, fleas, beetles, and other crawling pests in dry areas. But there is a catch. It only works when it stays dry. If it gets wet, it becomes ordinary mud. If it is applied too thickly, insects may simply avoid it. And because fine dust is not something you want in your lungs, it should be handled carefully and kept away from children, pets, and windy indoor spaces. The old method was not clouds of powder everywhere. It was a thin, dry line where pests travel. A barrier, not a mess. Number 3. The soap leaf wash. Aphids do not need much to ruin a plant. Aphids are small, but they can weaken new shoots and seedlings. They gather under leaves, cluster around new growth, and quietly drain strength from seedlings, roses, beans, and vegetables. Modern stores sell endless insect sprays for this. But one of the oldest approaches was much simpler: a mild soap wash. Not detergent, not bleach, not harsh household cleaner. Just a gentle soap solution used directly on soft-bodied insects so they lose their grip and dry out. Farm families used versions of this idea because it was cheap, fast, and targeted. You could inspect the plant, find the problem, treat the underside of the leaves, and avoid spraying everything in sight. The visual is simple: a curled leaf, a green cluster of aphids, a basic hand sprayer. No warning label, no expensive bottle. But this trick has rules. Never spray in full hot sun. Test one leaf first. Do not overuse it. And remember that beneficial insects can be affected too, so the goal is targeted use, not blasting the whole garden every morning. The Amish-style lesson is restraint. Use the smallest solution that solves the visible problem. Number 4. Vinegar fruit fly traps. Some pest problems are not really about pests. They are about food left available for too long. Fruit flies are the perfect example. You can swat the flies you see, but if the overripe fruit, sticky bin, dirty drain, or damp compost bucket remains, the problem comes right back. Old households handled this in 2 steps. Remove the source. Then trap what remains. A small jar with apple cider vinegar or fruit scraps could pull fruit flies into one place. A paper funnel or covered top made it harder for them to escape. It was cheap, obvious, and effective enough for kitchens that did not want commercial traps sitting everywhere. But the trap is not the real trick. The real trick is removing the invitation. Wipe the counter, rinse the bin, clean the drain, move ripe fruit, empty the compost. Modern pest control often focuses on the thing you buy. Old pest control focused on the thing you overlooked. Number 5. Cedar, peppermint, and strong scent storage. Not every pest trick is about killing. Sometimes the goal is to make a place less attractive. That is why older homes often used cedar in chests, closets, and storage spaces. Strong-smelling wood, herbs, and oils were used around stored fabrics, grain areas, tool sheds, and cupboards, not as a miracle shield, as part of a larger habit of clean, dry, protected storage. Mice, moths, and pantry insects are not defeated by scent alone if food is open and clutter is everywhere. But scent can support a system. Cedar blocks in a blanket chest, peppermint near entry points, bay leaves in storage jars, tight lids on flour, oats, and grain, dry shelves, no crumbs, no forgotten sacks in damp corners. That combination matters more than any single ingredient. The old rural method was not one magic smell. It was making the home harder to invade. And that is the deeper lesson behind all 5 tricks. Pests do not appear from nowhere. They follow moisture, warmth, food, shelter, and easy pathways. Wood ash changed the path. Diatomaceous earth dried the path. Soap interrupted the insect directly. Vinegar traps concentrated the problem. Cedar and strong storage made protected spaces less inviting. None of these methods replace professional help when the problem is serious, but they remind us of something modern pest aisles often hide. The cheapest pest control is usually prevention. Close the gap, dry the corner, clean the source, protect the food, break the path. Because the older way was not just about getting rid of pests, it was about building a home and garden that gave them fewer reasons to stay.